The views, comments, and opinions of the following program do not necessarily reflect those of Morris Media Studios, MorrisMediaLive.com, or its affiliates. Listener discretion is advised.
EMissy Show. EMissy Show. EMissy Show. Questions, interviews, gossip, current news, movie, TV, radio. Here we go.
I'm your girl, EMissy. Okay. How y'all doing?
We good.
We
out here.
We good. You good?
Of course.
All right.
I'm good.
So over here we got my girl, Lady D's.
Good evening, everyone.
That's my mommy. Y'all say hey.
Mama
And over
good
here,
now.
that's Mama.
Mama looking good. Okay now.
Over here we got Lala Young.
How are you? Everybody's okay? I'm okay.
Okay. And over here we have our very special, prestigious guest.
Yes.
Mr. John Amici.
How are you?
Suited and booted.
You guys would know him from Mac and Amici, formerly of KJLH.
Yes.
Right. But he gonna go solo bolo, so we about to see what he's talking about.
Thank you
That's
so
right,
much
that's
for
right.
inviting me on the show. I appreciate it.
Well, thank you for coming.
Hey, come on now.
It didn't even take pulling teeth or nothing. I was asking you, shall receive.
I'm doing
Yes.
nothing but watching porn at home. That's
Can I come?
Here and
Can I get an invitation? It ain't nothing like watching porn with a man. Oh, let me tell you.
I'm just saying. That's all.
I'm just saying.
I have nothing to do at home, but that's it.
It's like it's the conversation. It's like, okay, so why is she doing that?
Right.
And she know it don't feel that good because
Really? Now,
that
you know,
big.
Why do
that's
you
very
get that
interesting.
noise?
Most women I run into, they get somewhat turned off on porn. I don't know.
Really?
Turned off.
Well, you know, some some women I run into, their sexuality hasn't, I guess, is they're very tight about it, and so they're not free. They're not exploring it. They're not a freak yet, and so they're like, I don't do that. I want to remain this princess, this thing that doesn't.
Boring.
You know what? I bet you she don't swallow either. So,
Yeah.
Here we go.
Lala Young, what's on everyone's list?
Yeah, please. We already know what's on hers.
You
See how we start that? This is so good.
I'm just saying.
Okay, first of all,
She's a type.
That's
she's
very
a type. That is the okay. Jacquees, you're not. No, we're gonna just get into Jacquees. He's
Straight
not
into
the
Jacquees.
king.
Okay, Jacquees.
Did you
He's
see
not.
that video, Mom?
No, I did not.
Oh, God.
Well, he just go in and just say, right now, he's the king of R&B. And I think he said that because he did one BET award. That's it. He
I
just
never
went-
even heard of him
That's
till just
it.
now.
Because he's always like in the background. He's
You and
Young
nobody
Money.
else.
He's with Young Money. I believe Young Money or his
I don't listen.
previous.
I don't want to call out our age here, but I don't think anybody anywhere can name one Jacquees song.
Not it.
I just want to say that we all know him as the dude that's just kind of in the background. He's kind
Yeah.
of, he's just there. But nobody knows any type of music that he puts out or anything.
He
you know,
actually haven't put out anything. He did a remake to Ella May's, or it might have been his. I think that's the only thing. He did a remake of Ella May's song, and that's it. So I just think because he was on the BET Awards, he wanted to say that. So my question is,
Yes.
who is your king of R&B?
You got some,
I'm about to start writing down my whole list, and I bet you it don't include Jacquees.
Not at all.
At the top of the list, Will Downing.
Okay.
Will Downing. That's interesting.
R&B.
Okay.
Will Downing, then Eric Benet, then who else? I think probably the late Gerald Levert.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so living, I don't know. I was very perplexed with that one because you got it's Bobby Brown,
Right.
okay, it's R. Kelly.
I love
it's
R.
this-
Kelly.
Right.
You know, I
Still.
like them, but I don't know about King.
No,
King is so
they're kings to me.
broad, and Michael's not here anymore.
I'm gonna say it. He
Go
gonna
ahead.
pee on you. But R. Kelly.
I love R. Kelly's
I'm gonna
movies.
say it. R. Kelly has got to be the king of
Yeah.
R&B. There's nobody who else put
Right.
who's decades.
He would,
Yeah.
he would definitely get my vote.
Yeah.
There's a massive amount of music that he has out.
And his creativity.
Right.
Creativity.
His creativity.
What about Jaheim?
I give you that. King.
Shut up. Don't be.
I wouldn't even give
Jaheim's-
Jaheim the Prince, but I love Jaheim.
His
I do
catalog
too.
is not very long.
long.
Exactly.
And if we were to look on specific, if we were talking about numbers and hits, R. Kelly would be it.
I still
Yeah.
say,
From
he
writer
get my
to
vote.
producer
You're
to
right.
songwriter to singer.
Right.
I don't think there's anybody else that can really top R. Kelly.
Right.
We may not like him because of the controversy
Right.
that is surrounding
He's
him.
just a freak. I
We're
mean,
talking
whatever.
about music, so.
But we're
just
talking
talk
about music.
We're
If
talking about music.
If we're going to leave it at music, I'm going to
Right.
say R. Kelly
I would
is,
give
the,
you R.
is the king of R&B right
I would give you R.
Yeah.
Only because he's multifaceted. It's
Yeah.
not just, he doesn't just give you music, he gives you production, along with everything else. He has themes to his music,
Yeah.
to his whole
Yeah,
albums.
absolutely.
Who does that anymore?
Now, if we were looking for the
No one.
intern of R&B, it would be Jacquees. That would be the intern of R&B, and that's a title. we
Intern.
can give.
Okay, intern.
So as an
We're going
intern-
with intern.
You like that term, huh?
We're going with intern.
Intern of
Good
R&B.
answer.
We can
Good
give that
answer.
to Jacquees, but the king of R&B is.
Would be
I'm going to say R.
Yes.
Kelly.
Hands down.
We're going to leave it at R.
Okay,
Kelly.
so let me ask you this. So what do you think makes him say that he is the king? What gives him that?
Well, there's a juvenile naiveness of
He says
trying
of
to.
their time.
Right, of their time.
But
Yeah.
even of their time, I mean,
Yeah, because I would totally go with, if you're going to go with intern and of their time, what about Daniel Caesar?
Daniel Caesar, R. Lamar. There are so many other artists who
Usher.
can sit there. Usher's not of his time.
Of his-
Usher
of this time.
Of this time. So we're talking about new artists that are coming out. Daniel Caesar's a big contender. R. Lamar's a big contender.
Mm-hmm.
There's just been so many other artists other than Jacquees that whose songs you can name.
Yes.
Now we may be old.
Yes.
And there may be a song somewhere on the internet on a SoundCloud
Right.
account that we may not know
Right.
of that may have a million hits.
Right.
But at this point in time,
Right.
I'm going to say it's not Jacquees.
Right, not at all. So,
Hands down. Next up.
The jury's out. So it's not
Yes.
Jacquees, okay? So next are Nick. We got it. I got it. I
Okay.
got it. Centoya Brown. So you guys know who
Centora.
Centoya? Is it Centoya?
Centoya Brown.
Centoya Brown, 2016. She was actually prior to that, 2007. She was only 16 years old. I know he's. She was only 16 years old and with her boyfriend,
Pretty
and
girl.
her boyfriend was the one who got her into prostitution, beating her and all that stuff. And what happened was she was with one gentleman, and she thought that he was going to shoot her. She said he pulled out a gun. It was her actual gun. They was setting it up to have sex or whatever. But with this particular situation, she actually killed him and robbed him. And
the John?
the
Yes.
John, yes. So she's been in jail. She's actually been in jail for 13 years, and they're trying to get her out. But
For
the
killing
courts,
a scumbag?
yes, but because she killed him and stole from him, they're thinking that is something that she wanted to do, So they're trying to keep her in for 51 more years.
Well, she's ineligible for parole until she has hit 51 years
Right.
of
Right.
sentence.
Right.
I do believe the outgoing governor of Tennessee is going to commute her sentence. I think he's not only looking at her sentence, but a lot of other people. And I do believe because of the attention that she's getting. And then 51 years for the crime that she committed, because
Right.
we got to understand there is a life here that is gone. No matter whether
Right.
he was a John,
Absolutely.
she was a prostitute. No matter
Exactly.
what it was, somebody's dead, and there has to be a penance paid for that.
Right.
Right.
25 to life should be enough.
I agree.
For allow her, and this is the bigger issue with our criminal justice system here, especially when it comes to people of color,
Right.
is that we are prosecuting children
Right.
as adults, and that's
Right.
an issue in itself.
Yes.
I guarantee you, this crime that she committed when she was 16, she wouldn't commit now.
Right.
I mean, we're 13 years in. She's almost 30-something years older, if not 30 already. She's not going to commit this crime. And she's a different person
Right.
that she is now. So there's no need for her to stay in. It doesn't serve the community for her to stay in jail for 51 years.
Right.
At that.
Insane.
I agree.
Yeah.
So sad.
It is.
Yeah.
It's very sad. But this is our criminal justice system in this country, and that's very sad in itself. 51 years when you've got a woman who. I don't think any woman wants to go into prostitution. I think
Exactly.
somebody leads them into this
My
lifestyle.
point.
Okay,
Yes.
so y'all know I'm never the one to go with the flow. So the background to the story, if you actually dig into the case, is that she was a 16-year-old runaway. Her mother was a drunk, and she ran to this pimp named Cutthroat. Okay, so Cutthroat bought her in the streets, got her prostituting, pimping, and all this stuff. So me being a mother and a youth advocate, this is my thing. Kim Kardashian said that the system failed her in this situation. Okay. Now, for the system to fail her, she would have had to run to the system in order for them to begin to help her. In her case, she didn't run to the police to get her out of that situation. She didn't go into a foster system to get to get out of that situation. She ran straight to the streets and into the hands of a pimp. Right. Okay, and in the process of the decision that she made, she became a prostitute. In the interim, she ended up killing somebody. Right. So it's not all cut and dry. Now, where I agree with you, the time doesn't fit the crime. Right. Because she said in her own words that she thought that he was going for a gun, and so she shot him. Yeah,
which to be honest with you, I think that's a little BS, but still. Still, at the end of the day, 51 years.
51 years. Whatever. Yes. Well, they were trying to give her life. Period. Right. They were trying to give her life. It got reduced down to 51 with, like you said, with all the media attention and all that stuff. But my thing is, it's like I said, because I have youth and I work with youth, it's like we cannot continue to coddle them in their situations when they make bad decisions. Right. You know, they have to understand that there are consequences for the decisions that they make. If my child decides to leave my house for whatever reason, nigga, you on your own. Right. You know? Right.
But let me just say one thing. And you're not a drunk.
No, I'm not.
I don't think you're drunk. You're not a drunk.
Not today. Not yet.
Not all the time.
I don't drink that.
But there's a difference between, I think, your daughter and this young lady. Right. And this is the problem when you don't have proper parental guidance and a nurturing home.
True.
And I think that she was doing what she thought she needed to do to survive with the mental capacity she had at the age.
Right.
Now, if you were her mother, maybe this wouldn't, or it probably wouldn't have happened. But she didn't have you as a mother. She had a drunk as a mother.
True.
And I think that needs to be taken into consideration of why an individual will turn to the streets and look for prostitution, or allow themselves to get wrapped up with a guy who pushed them into prostitution as a way of making some bread.
Right.
And so we that needs to be taken into consideration, because the foundation and the nurturing of two parents, or one parent, or a stable parent, bringing you up and nurturing you into adulthood says a lot.
Right.
When you don't have that and you're left at your own, you don't have the proper tools. You're a juvenile trying to figure it out, and you end up in situations like this where you out here trying to sell some pussy, and you end up killing somebody, But this decision that you made at 16 is not the same decision you would make at 30, 31, or 32.
True.
And so this is where I think where the 51 years is excessive.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
She needs to pay for the crime of killing an individual because she was doing something illegal. He was doing something that led in his death.
Right.
But sacrificing the majority of her healthy life.
Right. Give her the opportunity to, make something of herself after. Because to my understanding, since she's been in, she received the AA. She got her degree.
She's made a life of her. She's done a lot.
Yes.
She's done a lot. And this is the problem with our criminal justice system, is that they want to punish, but they don't. It should be to rehabilitate and to correct behavior, not necessarily to throw people away. And we have a tendency in this country to, when we hear murder, when we hear drugs, when we hear prostitution, when we hear rape, to throw people away without understanding that they can rehabilitate themselves and become productive members of society. We just throw them in the system and hope they disappear.
Right. Absolutely.
I think one of the crazy parts before we go to break, as far as this young girl, there's a lot of young girls that's out there that are actually on the corners, but they're being trafficking. But you never hear any. You hear it, but it's in the background of the men that are out there. Even the women. There's a 21-year-old who actually just was fined, so she had to do some time. But she was out there trafficking younger girls. That was like 13 and 14.
I remember that.
She was beating her and pimping her out. But then it's like no one is saying anything, and not even that when you say you're not the drunk, and then the other lady was a drunk. But remember when we had the village, when we saw these kids out there doing stuff that they wasn't, who's stepping up? There's like no one is stepping up for these kids. There's no one in their right mind at 15, 16, not even 17 that say, I want to stand on the corner and sell my ass. I just don't think that that's happening. So I think
we're missing Big Mama. Big Mama.
Yeah.
Big Mama. Stop all this right now.
Right. Yeah, there's more of that.
It's a
There's
totally
definitely
new generation.
It
And
is.
we could talk about this all day long. It could be the whole show.
Right,
Messing with
definitely.
me. I can sit to our break.
Continue into your break. This is Lala. You can catch me on EMissy K Loose Lip Show on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. And we also have a group on Facebook if you would like to join.
All right,
It's
now.
EMissy K Loose Lip Group, and we talk about like some real good nasty
All right.
stuff.
Oh, whoa. Okay.
That's all.
I'm going to join you on the break. Okay. I didn't know. But I got it.
Going there, so I had to take him there right
Trying
there.
to find which lips are loose.
Yay.
Up next, the beautiful, beautiful Lady D's with Kissable Nights and Dating After 50.
Yeah.
Let's go.
The worldwide famous DJ Gilly.
I am so in love. What you don't know, what you know, what you wanna know. I tried to break us up. All I know is I don't really want that door. I can't let you slip away. Yeah, you mean the whole world to me. I know. Sha-la-la-la, 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 sha-la-la. I know. You are all I want. What you don't know, what you know, what you don't know. I see it in your eyes. I can see it in your eyes. Your eyes don't lie. I can't let you slip away. To tie for a lifetime, a spell for eternity, a curse for a lifetime. I know. Sha-la-la-la, oh, sha-la-la-la, hey, sha-la-la-la.
Welcome back to EMissy K's Loose Lip Show. I'm your girl, EMissy K.
Yes.
And we're going to get right into our kissable nights with Lady D's. And, of course, our male perspective, Mr. Donamici.
I've been waiting on this. I would love to hear your perspective now.
Yes,
let's get into
go.
the kissable night.
Yeah, what's she talking about?
Good evening, everyone.
Yeah.
Hi, Lady D's.
Hi. First of all, let me say this. I got on this topic because we had a discussion at work, and it had nothing to do with dating.
Okay.
But the focus was the difference in cultures. Things that we see as respectful,
Okay.
and others find it offensive.
Okay.
And Did you hear about the story where the little black boy addressed the teacher as ma'am? Okay. And she was offended?
No.
Really?
No.
That's how
she was so offended, she threw him out of the classroom and told him if she had something to throw at him, she would have.
Oh, wow.
Because he kept referring to her as ma'am.
What was she offended by? What was the issue? Like,
so you guys don't get it either.
No.
See?
Maybe it was a tone.
Because that man mean that you're an old woman.
No. For us, ma'am is a sign of respect.
Absolutely.
Right.
That's how we were raised.
Yes,
sir. Yes, ma'am.
And I don't think there's an age.
That's it.
There's
no, it's
age
not.
on
No,
that.
it's
There's
not.
No age.
People in authority just respectfully.
Yes, sir. Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Absolutely.
But if you say that to a white woman, it's offensive. Because it says old maid.
Oh.
Very offensive. And what really drove it home was yesterday we were in the cafeteria and one of my coworkers, Ashley, we were having this discussion about this a couple days ago. And so we were in the cafeteria and we're standing there. So the boss, the CEO, walks up and, we spoke to him and everything. And so I went to say something to Ashley and I said, yes, ma'am. Like that. And he looked. And he said, he was kind of lost. He said, do you know that's kind of derogatory, right?
Wow.
And she and I started laughing because we had just had this conversation where she's explaining to me that they don't like that.
Well, was there some big event that happened where the ma'am thing exploded into derogatory that I missed or we missed?
I don't know.
Well, but white women, it's a culture thing.
But think about it. White women they've always felt that way.
Right.
They are highly offended when you address them that way. And especially if you address them with
I actually
like
have had somebody
a rough
say
tone.
that to me.
Right.
They don't
that's
like
why I
it.
said it was what was a tone. But I've actually had women tell me before, don't call me ma'am. Like, I don't like it, don't call me that. Okay, but I've never thought about it being...
So ma'am is old maid?
Yeah, like mammy.
It's very offensive.
So like mammy, I'm your cook, I'm your slave, I'm your nanny.
Oh, you got it.
Yes.
Yeah.
You got it.
Wow. Is that do we know where the terminology of ma'am came from? Is it derived from mammy?
Well, you know what? Back in the slave days, that's how they wanted us to. Well, I'm sorry. According to the movies, according to the movies, according to the movies, the source of it was that's how we had to
address the white people.
Our
the white
ancestors had to address our masters. Yes, ma'am. No, sir.
Yeah, because I'm like, if it mammy, I mean, I can understand the whole, if you don't want me to call you mammy, I get you think I'm some slave working here. I mean, I get that, but I was always raised,
it
yes,
took a
sir,
time
no,
somewhere
sir,
along the
yes,
line.
ma'am, no, ma'am.
You know what I got in trouble for a lot?
What's that?
When my mama made me mad, and I'll be talking to my grandmama, I'll be like, "Mommy, dearest."
That.
She's like, do not call my daughter Mommy Dearest.
Now, was this because of the movie, or was this because... Okay,
that's where it stems from.
Okay, because of the movie.
Yeah.
No more white
That's exactly what
So it made me, in terms of dating, so it made me think, in terms of dating, when, what are some of the pros and cons that you see in dating different cultures?
Pros and cons. Let me tell you what happened when I said white boy.
Oh my God.
Oh, have you dated different cultures here?
I have.
How many?
Yes. How many? Come on.
Mind your business.
How many different? I just want to know how many different cultures.
How many different cultures? Probably about.
How many different penises have you
I
seen? Let's get right to it.
Yeah.
How many different penises?
I really don't want that information.
How many cultural? Have you seen an Indian penis, a white penis, a Mexican penis? How they all result?
Man, I saw a Mexican purple. It was purple. I was like, what am I supposed to do with this?
we got Kieran in the room.
The white boy. Oh, girl, get out of the room. She thinks she's
Oh, it got hot in here real quick.
Oh, how many cultures have you dated?
At least 3. Final answer.
The final answer? Was there any type of difference in the two? Or,
Absolutely. Now, let me tell you something. When I dated the white guy, he treated me very well. But the way that my African American brothers received him was horrible. They treated him very poorly.
Like, why are you dating this white guy?
No, like you're not gonna date her. Like they did some. They vandalized his car.
Oh, come on.
Now was he?
They were getting his face.
Was he a sucker white guy?
He was a redhead white cop.
He was ginger.
Oh, a cop.
So he wasn't like he wasn't like. There's certain white guys that just are accepted by the black community,
Yeah.
Right, because they got a little something.
They got swag.
Like
Yeah.
Eminem.
They got
Right.
swag. Did he not have swag?
He did have swag. All his friends are black. 'Cause I'm not gonna go there because that's why I dumped him. But yeah, everything around him was black. The black culture, the whole 9 yards. But it's the fact that he was dating me, an African American woman who, I was raised properly. I had a job, took care of business or whatever. And they were like, no, not this black woman because of the type of woman that she is. Right. You're not going to date her.
Oh, black men wanted him to date Watermelon Andrea?
They can date her.
Watermelon Andrea, he could date, but not you.
Yeah, they were not having it at all.
Listen, I'm a firm believer that a black man should date a black woman and a black woman should date a black man just because that we have so much history, negative history behind us that we have to work to repair.
Yes.
But who am I? I mean, love is love. If you
can't help who you like.
You can't help what I mean, listen, my preference is the black woman.
Right.
But if Iana comes by or Tiffany or Jennifer.
Becky
comes by and me and Becky fall in love and Becky's credit score is better than mine.
Right.
She can help
Becky always got to
have some prerequisites.
Lift a brother up out of poverty. Who am I to be like, no.
Right.
I did.
There's black women that can do that too.
What about you, Lala?
Only black.
Really?
That's it.
Now, is it because that you don't find any other race attractive?
Oh, no, I find them attractive. I just prefer black men.
Yeah.
Okay.
For my kings, yes.
Yeah, I think I do believe that we as people of color have a duty to not only to fix ourselves. And we can't do that if we're dating outside of our race. And if you look on TV now, you're starting to see more mixed couples.
Too much.
And
it's like all up in your face. What is that about?
Somebody's pushing an agenda.
Yes, they are.
But
they're pushing a whole lot of agendas.
A lot of agendas. I'm like, what is going on?
And it's like, listen, you fall in love with who you fall in love with.
Yes.
If I have a preference, I'm always going to go after the black woman because I love the black woman and the black woman can teach me something. I can teach her something, and I think the black family needs to be highlighted and more so than it has been. And that's always going to be my preference.
Right. For me, that's cool, but I was raised around a whole lot of cultures because I went to school in the Valley.
Okay.
And even, after that, I always lived in areas and in areas where there was like mixed cultures, and I work in imports now. So I work with a whole lot of diverse cultures. So it's like, it's one of those situations where you can't help who you like.
Sometimes it just sneaks up on you. It's like,
exactly.
Whoa.
Yeah,
I love my black man.
Listen, we're all.
I do too, but it means
right.
I think at the end of the day, we're all the same.
Yes.
Once we get past the cultural references about us, but we're all human beings at the end of the day.
We are, but some of them can make it pretty complicated, can make for tumultuous relationships.
It does.
I mean, if you're just dating and, you're not ready to get married, I say date whoever you want.
Okay. All right.
But when it comes times to settling down and choosing a mate, you better be very careful about mixing those cultures.
Yes.
Especially when I don't date anything that's orthodox.
Right.
Orthodox anything. No.
Right.
No.
Too hardcore.
Too stringent. I can't do it.
I have a question. And you say you date who you like, and that's fine. With different cultures, and everybody know their parents, a lot of parents and grandparents don't like black.
True.
So if the person that you fell in love with, their parents didn't like you or didn't approve of you, would you still date that person?
I ain't got to date them.
Thank you.
No.
Yes.
Well, I think this is very interesting because this happens to a lot of people who either end up in mixed relationships. You have to stay and do you.
Yeah.
And eventually they'll come around.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? It's almost programming them. It's like when you're a trailblazer everybody's going to hate you.
Mm-hmm.
But eventually everybody's going to get on board.
Absolutely.
Right.
So the longer that you guys succeed, they'll come on board because
Exactly.
they'll start to get to
Not
know
this
you.
situation.
Exactly.
But it's not going to be easy.
Yeah, no, this particular individual, no, their parents were racist, and he actually broke up with the woman because he's like, how can I be with you? You can't even introduce me to your parents. That's how what they
Well,
didn't even,
see, that depends on the person, the mate. It's not the family, because if he's strong enough to stand up to his family, hell yeah, I'm going to stay with him.
Right.
Because he knows it's about us and me.
That says a lot about the person.
And if
that
he
you're involved
can't,
with.
then I need deuces. You know,
and that lets you know you need to move on.
Exactly.
hey, right.
No, if a person can't stick up, if you my mate and I can't stick up for you or you can't stick up for me,
bye.
I don't need to be with
Absolutely.
you.
I'm not going to.
If you can't defend me from your parents,
right?
I dated a black woman like this, and she, you know, I saw her, and this hurt me so bad. I saw her mother and her father. Her father, absolutely the most amazing guy in the world, but her mother had some type of thing about me. And I was so hurt that she didn't defend me to her mother. And I'm like, if you can't defend me to your mother, I can't mess with you.
That's right.
You know what I'm saying? Like, no matter how much I care about you, you're not defending me to your mother?
Right.
You're going to allow your mother to hate me? You're not really going to tell my experience with you to your mother? You're just going to allow that? I can't deal with it. Me and you not meant to be together.
That's right. I totally agree.
Yeah.
Especially because guys and their mothers, you know, when they got those kind of relationships, I'm not fighting that.
I bought her mother roses. I bought her dad tequila. You know, it was just, there's something going on to where it was just like, you know what? As much as I like you, I got to step away from
Maybe she had a thing for you.
No.
Maybe he didn't make enough money.
No.
I think she had a secret thing.
Do they not like your career? I mean,
No. Well, you know. Well, okay. So
I mean, those kind of things play a factor. I'm serious.
So I'm very outspoken. I have a different set. I have a set ideology on the radio, and so sometimes people can understand me. Sometimes people get offended by things I say, and she was the one that maybe got offended. Like I've criticized President Barack Obama because I've said he hasn't done enough for black people while he was in office.
Right.
And the reason why I say that is look at what Trump's doing for his people who voted him in office.
Yeah.
I love Barack Obama. I don't hate Barack Obama. I'm not against Barack Obama, but I, as a politician, I'm going to criticize him because you could have done more.
Right.
And so she is of a culture that grew up without a black president or even the idea of a black president, and anybody criticizing the black president, which I look at as just, I'm holding you accountable.
Right, exactly.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
She has a negative view upon me.
Right. And it's my opinion. Screw you.
I think that's sad. You know,
It's hurtful, but as she's entitled to her opinion, I'm entitled to mine. I try to meet everybody with love. You know, and even if you hate me, I still give me a chance.
Tomato.
Right.
Yeah.
Hey, her loss.
Lady D's.
Her loss.
This has been Lady D's and Not So Kissable Nights. We thank our guest host, Don Amici, for joining in and giving his strong male perspective, and the ladies of Loose Lips. You can find me on, where can you find me?
Yeah, where can we find you? Come on now.
Lady D's on Instagram and Twitter, and Dorothy Drew on Facebook. We're going to take a break. We'll be back. Stay right there. I don't know what we're doing while we're on break, but
I'm going to follow you while we're on break. I'm going to follow you right now while we're on break.
We'll be back.
It's rest. Hey, the little shawty, where your head at? You gotta show me where your bread at. Hey, the little shawty, where your head at? That ain't enough, boy, where the rest at? I'ma show you how to turn a bag into a boat. I fly first class, never in a coach. Oh, hey, the little shawty, where your head at? You gotta show me where your bread at. I'm just addicted to money. I'm just addicted to flossing. I'm just addicted to bossing. You won't do work, you just watch it. Y'all just addicted to gossip. Young chick getting money, got options. I'm so in love with my dollar bill. I don't know how broke feels. flashy. I'm just addicted to fashion. This year, that new Kim Kardashian. I see you still wearing that last year. It's either credit or cash, yeah. Red on my feet like I'm foreign. Y'all probably still rocking Jordans. Balenciaga, Louis Prada, Chanel and YSL. I pop bands to pop tags, and you mad cause I'm swagging. Hey, the little shawty, where your head? Hey, the little shawty, where your head? You gotta show me where your bread at. Hey, the little shawty, where your show head? Show me where your head at. That ain't enough, that ain't enough. I'ma show you how to turn a bag into a boat. I fly first class, never in a coach. Oh, hey, the little shawty, where your head at? You gotta show me where your bread at. Show me where the bread. Show me where you live. Is this your mama's house? Is that your kid? Niggas. Bitch niggas. I can't see that.
And welcome back to the EMissy K's Loose Lift Show. I'm your girl EMissy K, and what you just saw was Marissa Ford,
yes.
who is one of EMissy K Entertainment's
Looking
artist.
like Alicia Keys.
Yes,
Beautiful.
and I played her video because I was watching TV the other day, and it's a TV show on BET. It's called The Family Business.
Yes.
And I was listening to it. I was working, and that song actually popped up
Go, Marissa.
while I was watching. So I want to say
That's my baby.
congratulations to Marissa
Awesome.
Ford,
Yes.
and also Karen Bankhead. Etta May,
Yeah.
Mumfries.
I saw that one.
That's so good.
She was on Grey's Anatomy.
Nice.
She had a
That's so
cameo
cool.
appearance on there. So those are our guests.
Yeah.
That's what
Yes.
we bring to the table.
Right?
Good.
So congratulations to all of our former guests. We're back with our interview with Mr. Donamichi.
Yes.
You ready to get lipped with EMissy K?
I thought we've been getting lit. There's more? What do we got
There
going
is
on?
more because we're getting in your business
Okay,
now.
I'm here to get into the business. Yes. What do you want? What do you want to know?
So welcome and thank you for coming.
Yes.
First of all. And we want to start off by, getting to know who you are and how you got started in the business. So first of all, where are you from?
Born and raised in Los Angeles.
L.A.?
I always say I spent my time growing up in the Mar Vista Garden projects here in Los Angeles. Although everybody makes fun of my projects, saying they're not real
I was
projects
about to say, where are those?
because they're in Culver City. Right, that's the exact thing I get.
There ain't no projects in Culver City.
That's the exact response I get. There are no projects.
That's an apartment complex.
Is that right off the freeway? Can you see him from the freeway?
I can see them from the freeway. Yes. But no, I was born and raised here. My mother's from a country called Belize in Central America. My father unknown, so I'm still trying to track that down through 23andMe.
Okay.
But yeah, born and raised here. My family's here, and I love LA. It's a interesting city when you don't know the rest of the country.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
When you're born and raised in LA, I had such a warped idea of America because I grew up in the black community in Los Angeles, which is very progressive, and then you start thinking like the rest of the country like that.
Yes.
Surprise.
Until I left to go work in radio in '96 and went to Tulsa, Oklahoma.
Oh, culture shock.
And I was like, what the fuck is this?
I know you did.
Yeah, the bus don't run 24/7. You need a car. Everything's white. I'm like,
Man, that was the first one of my first travels. I went to Charlotte, North Carolina. No, Greenboro, North Carolina. And my in-laws, their house was here. And the plantation that their family was slaves on was across the street. I was like,
right, but there are places in Alabama where the
Still like that.
slaves, the descendants of the slaves, still
own it.
live near next to the plantation.
that's what I'm saying. They lived across the street.
Yes.
I was like, no, for real. Like your actual family, was slaves over
And then
there.
they're cool.
And y'all want to see that every day.
Yes.
And then in the cemetery was in the church parking lot.
You know
It was-
There's too much going on.
Anyway,
When you
culture shock.
It's culture shock when you, and this is the problem I think that they should teach you when you're in school. Like, everything's not like Los. the rest of the country
Seriously.
is 10 years behind Los Angeles, and be aware of that. You know?
Yeah.
So it was but I love LA. I wouldn't trade it for anything.
Absolutely. So, you're a former DJ or host on KJLH here locally in Los Angeles.
Yes. KJLH was the last station that I worked at. I was intern at KJLH back in the 90s.
Wow.
Not only KJLH, I was an intern at 92.3 The Beat. If you guys remember that station.
Yes.
There was a station called Groove Radio 103.1.
I remember Groove.
I worked it there. I worked at 97.1 KLSX, which was the FM talk station.
I don't know that one.
Not me either.
That station is now Amp Radio.
Okay.
You know Amp Radio, that's what that station is. So, Groove, The Beat, KJLH, and KLSX were the stations I worked at. KJLH fired me in the 90s, and they fired me in the 2000s. So, give me another 10 years, I'll be back, and they'll fire me again.
You won't be back.
Yeah, no, but it's a very, very interesting situation. But I'm happy to be back in LA, and it was a nice long decade of working for KJLH.
Okay. So how did you actually get started in broadcasting? What made you go into broadcasting?
So this is very interesting. I used to live right across the street from Santa Monica College. 17th and Pico was where I went. I went to Santa Monica High School. And, when I got out of high school, there were two things. I didn't know what to do. Like any kid, you're wondering, where do I go? Mm-hmm. Now, my mother, she did her best to provide me with an upbringing, but she's an immigrant, so it's not. I didn't really have a great foundation. She did the best that she could, and I don't hold it against her.
Right.
And so, I really didn't have any guidance. It was just me kind of trying to figure it out. I was like, I need to go film or radio. And I remember The Beat did a van hit. There's a Foster Freeze right across the street from Santa Monica College on 16th Street.
This sure is.
Right? So they did I was listening to the radio like everybody did back in the 90s, and I heard they were going to be at Foster Freeze, and I ran down there as fast as I could. And there was a guy named Johnny D and a couple other people. Johnny D. I think there was another guy named Bad Boy who was there, and they were giving out. It was so amazing to see that this phone call attracted this audience in a parking lot of a Foster Freeze, and people were so enamored with the emotional connection of this radio station. And I went down there and I saw that, and I was like, wow, people going crazy. And they were just giving away trinkets. Like, but the beat, was, in my mind and a lot of people's mind, was so big. They were giving away keychains, SWV records at the time, stickers, and a whole bunch of just stuff. And I kind of fell in love with that. And so I went to SMC, got an internship, and I ended up interning at The Beat. That's where I met my friend Pee Wee. To this day, we're still friends. And so we ended up working with the same individuals that I saw at that van hit, being interns, working with them.
Wow.
And that was my introduction to radio.
You know what I remember from making those same runs? For me, it was, the voices that we heard on the radio. Right. Some of them were so phenomenal. It's like I always wanted to put a face with the name. Like now we have the internet, and all social media, so you see your disc jockeys.
But wasn't it funny though when you did finally see
it was like
they looked nothing like the voice.
Well, that was the biggest thing.
Theo?
That was the biggest thing with Theo. Everybody thought Theo was black.
Yes.
Theo wasn't on an R&B radio station. He had the smooth voice. And then you find out Theo was this Asian guy.
Yeah. Right.
That was a trip.
Theo was nothing more than a carbon copy of Kevin Nash.
Yes.
They both came from KMEL in the Bay. And I want to say that I can't really say this for sure, and Kevin is never going to admit to this. But I want to say Theo jacked Kevin's swag.
Okay.
Because if you listen to Theo and you listen to Kevin, it's almost the same person.
It is.
You know what I'm saying?
I agree.
So, Theo just got down to L.A., which was basically a carbon copy of KMEL. Everything from the voice guy to the morning show to everything, they just brought it down from the Bay Area to L.A. So it worked in the Bay, it worked in L.A., and we loved it.
Absolutely.
Absolutely, yeah.
So we're going to take a quick break, and we're going to come back, and we're going to continue our interview with you. Are you okay with that?
Yes. Ask me anything you want. I'll tell you everything.
Ask me anything. I tell you no lie. We're going to a break.
I'm going to lie about a lot of stuff, but I'll ask me whatever you want.
Shit. I'm just me. And I like what I see. Just as simple as that. I done been with many, but none quite like you though. Girl, we can fall in love, what it do though? Girl, you can get this love, cause I know we're just a lie. This ain't only for tonight. I done been with many, but none quite like you though. Girl, we can fall in love, what it do though? Girl, you can get this love, cause I know we're just a lie. This ain't only for tonight. I'm loving the way you're taking your angles. You say that you're free, you broke off the shackles. You're calling my phone, you're asking for samples. Pass me the fruit, girl, don't be bashful. Nothing can compare, yeah, yeah. Girl, I love it getting wet, wet, wet. All over my bed, yeah. 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 I done been with many, but none quite like you though. Girl, we can fall in love, what it do though? Girl, you can get this love, cause I know we're just a lie. This ain't only for tonight. I done been with many, but none quite like you though. Girl, we can fall in love, what it do though? Girl, you can get this love, cause I know we're just a lie. This ain't only for tonight. I'm loving the way you're checking your angles. I'm learning these lessons like it was a fable. Girl, all of your loving, it got me disabled. Got me disabled. I'm loving the way that you're feeling my way. Nothing can compare, yeah, yeah. Girl, I love it getting wet, wet, wet. All over my bed, yeah. 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 I done been with many, but none quite like you though. Girl, we can fall in love, what it do though? Girl, you can get this love, cause I know we're just a lie. This ain't only for tonight. I done been with many, but none quite like you though. Girl, we can fall in love, what it do though? Girl, you can get this love, cause I know we're just a lie. This ain't only for tonight.
Show. I'm your girl, EMissy K. Y'all caught me in the moment.
Ain't lying.
Hey. So we are back with EMissy K everywhere, and I do have some announcements for you guys at the end of the show. But right now, we're going to conclude our interview with Donna Michi. So, Don?
Yes.
Okay, people that I know that I have a relationship with KJLH. Uh-huh. So they have been still DMing me, asking me, so what happened with Donna Michi, and does Don and Tammy have any issues with each other? Are they friends, or what's going on? So
people are so
squash
messy.
the rumors. Squash the rumors.
First of all, Tammy is like my best friend. We talk almost every day, and about everything from things she's going through to the radio station to her personal. I mean, we were just, but that's how our relationship, it didn't start off like that, but that's how our relationship developed over, you got to understand, we've been working together for almost 10 years.
Yes.
And so we became very, very, very good, intimate friends, almost like a best friend, brother, sister, family member. Right. There's a deep love for me, for Tammy, that I have, and vice versa. I would be there for her if she needed anything, and the same thing for me. So we're cool. We're always going to be cool regardless of KJLH, and that's just because of how our relationship matured over time, and the respect that we both have for each other.
Right.
You know, I think when we first got put together, she was like, "Who is this guy?" And I'm like, "Who are you?"
Right.
I
wondered about that, so I'm glad you're clarifying. Go ahead.
Stevie Wonder put us together, and then, I remember us yelling at each other, and she, to her credit, she tried to warn me about an environment that I was getting introduced to, but the problem was that this environment that I was getting introduced to was so foreign from anything I could possibly even imagine that I couldn't even comprehend what she was saying.
Okay.
And there is something to be said about a woman's intuition.
Yes.
Us men, we you don't know what the hell you're talking about. But you women have a third eye and you can see things. It's just we can't comprehend the language you see. And so I couldn't understand
I agree with you.
It wasn't until you go through it and you're like, my God, I understand now. And this is the thing with not just working environments, but relationships also, to where you're like, I wish there was some type of language to where I could get where you're coming from. Right. But this is really, I think, the only thing of you have to trust the person and submit to what they're telling you but it's hard for us to do that. Yes. Especially when I don't know you, and why am I submitting to you? Because I got an ego myself, and I've done this before. I'm a man, and all this other stuff. So,
all that.
She tried, and we wrote out the bumps together, you know, and we got to where we got,
Okay.
This is what it is.
All right. So what was the ultimate?
So now let it go.
Let's go with the ultimate demise of, because I know that
she won't let it go.
I'm not talking about that. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about the show. I'm talking about his departure, because I know that KJLH did a lot of layoffs, including, our good friend, Greg Johnson. So
I was just with him today.
Yeah, that is my boy. Love you, Greg. But, so I know that, there was a lot of cleaning house, if you will.
It's a very complicated situation.
But yours wasn't that situation.
No, my situation was a big fuck you.
Okay.
And... Okay, so we've got I'm going to try to explain this in the time we have.
Okay.
We've got multiple things going on. Number one, we've got an accountant that comes in who's trying to prove to Stevie Wonder that he can sit there and build a new studio and take this place and make it profitable, right?
Right.
All right, and so under normal circumstances, that might be the case, but you're dealing with a blind musical icon who wants to do whatever the hell he wants.
Right.
So this guy builds a studio and it's a beautiful studio that ends up getting built, and they've been trying to build a new studio for decades. Right. Or for a decade, I should say, right? But there's a reason why it didn't get built. It's because the money was never there.
Right.
So you built the studio, it's great, then revenue starts to decline a year or two, and so now the $200,000, $300,000 that you spent on the studio is gone. Right. And so now you got to start firing people. Right. You know what I'm saying? Maybe you were being nice and keeping these people employed. Maybe they weren't doing what they were doing, but now your back is up against the wall because of decisions that you made in 2015, 16, trying to prove something. Right. So the layoffs start to happen. Right. My situation wasn't a layoff situation. Right. My situation was, and this is just me speculating, they were getting ready to lay off, and they were doing things at the radio station like popping cameras up, putting notices up. Right. And these things were bothering me. And I'm going to be very honest here, because I don't want to sit there and bash KJLH or Stevie Wonder. I just want to speak in facts. Right. And so this is something that what I'm going to tell you is what I've told everybody who asked me.
I saw your video.
Yes.
Who asked me this question. I suffer from anxiety, you know, and so, when they built the new studio, they put a camera in the studio, then cameras start popping up in the hallway, and then another camera in the hallway, then a camera in the break room. Now, keep in mind, this radio station is like 20 people. Right. Who the fuck is stealing, or what's going on here? Right. And so a watch came up missing, and somebody said, I said, who would steal a watch from me? In my mind, I'm like, who steals from this radio station? Right. Because this is a family. I love Stevie. He called me. I'm doing a job. You're underpaying me.
Right.
You've ignored my compensation requests over the years, but you know what? I'm still going to roll with you.
Right.
Like, because I care about you
Right.
and all this other stuff. So,
Right.
you know, who's stealing?
Right.
This is on a Friday. You know, somebody comes in and like a watch came up missing out of the break room, and I'm like, who's stealing a watch out of the break room? You know, so that's Friday, Saturday, Sunday. I think Monday I'm walking through Ross looking for some swimming trunks, and then all of a sudden I just have this memory of me walking into the break room and picking up a watch and walking around trying to find out who it belonged to, and couldn't find anybody, and I put it back where I found it from. And in my mind, it's like, oh my God, maybe I stole the watch. Maybe somebody put the watch down. I took it. I was walking around. Somebody came back to get it. They couldn't find it. And then now there's a thief in the building and another camera pops up and it's because of me.
Right.
And so I call Tammy this and I'm like, I think I took the watch. And now she's laughing at me in secret.
Right.
So, fuck out of here. You didn't steal no fucking watch. But this is how stressed out the environment was making me.
Right.
You know, to where it was like, I went the next day and went to the sales manager and I was like, you know, a watch came missing. I think I took it. I had this memory of me walking into the break room, walking around, trying to find out who it was. You know, and he looks at me confused, like, what the fuck are you talking about?
Right.
And so he tells me that the watch came up missing at like noon. I don't get to work till 3:30 or 4 o'clock in the afternoon.
Oh, dang.
So there's no way you can steal the watch. So I'm tripping.
Right.
But the environment and the atmosphere at this radio station is one of massive stress that is causing me to dream, think up, or whatever the situation. You know, I approached him about this, and I'm like, yo, can we do something about these cameras? Can we whatever? And a meeting pops up, and it's not just me. I find out everybody's pissed off about the cameras.
Right.
They have a meeting, and the meeting is basically to cover their ass legally because they don't want to do anything about the cameras.
Right.
They don't want to do anything. A meeting is called between me and Stevie Wonder and his lawyer. We get into it, and you know, some choice words are happening, and so they stopped talking to me for 2 weeks. Which is weird. I've never had a company tell me not to come in and they just ignore me like a girlfriend.
Right. I do that.
It's weird.
I'm sorry.
Right? And so everybody, I get all.
I wouldn't do it in business.
I know
but in a relationship,
we get all these. So I know we're gonna move on. I get all these outside people coming to me saying you should apologize. You should apologize. You should apologize. And I'm like, well, if they want to hear so, I apologize. They want to put me on probation. You're an asset. We love you. You know, we're going to put you on this 90-day probation. You can't be going off on Stevie Wonder's representatives or whatever. And I look at the letter and they spell my name wrong. How is it that I worked for you for 10 years?
Right. Wow.
And you spell my name wrong? I said, who wrote the letter?
Right.
So I look at the general manager. She doesn't want to answer the question.
Oh, sorry.
Listen, if they would have said Stevie wrote the letter, I'd have been like, okay, whatever.
Right.
That's her. I'm sorry.
But let me tell you something. He probably wrote the letter. But let me tell you something. If they would have said Stevie wrote the letter, he fucked up on your name,
right?
I'd have been like, cool, all right, cool, whatever. You know what I'm saying? It's him trying to slap me on the wrist to placate the other people so harmony goes back. Right. I said, I'm good.
Well, so you said, y'all say F me, I say F you, we're done, I'm out of here. So, you guys heard it straight from Donamichi.
Yes.
Pretty much.
And thank you.
Let it go, people.
Let it go. Don't call me no more.
Right. Me and Tammy are good. I just want to say I have nothing bad about KHLH, and this past 4 months have been the most stress-free I've had in my entire life.
I know that feeling.
Stress-free is a beautiful thing.
Tell the people where to find you.
At Donamichi on Instagram, Twitter, Snapchat, Facebook Live, all that. I'm going to be taking her out later on.
Spell it so they can
DON
spell it right.
AMICHE Don Amici. DONAMICHE Don Amici.
And not the way they spelled it in your letter.
Right. They spelled with an I. You know.
Wow. So we have quick announcements. I know we have Barbara Morrison Theater over here in Leimert Park. They're giving away turkeys on Friday.
Oh, wow.
It's up there. You guys want to see it again? Play back the show.
Okay.
And also in Santa Monica, what is his name? EMissy Grandmaster Cast of Brooklyn, New York.
Yes.
All right.
He's going to be in, they're going to have like a little powwow, a hip hop powwow.
Oh, that's
It's
gonna be
free.
nice.
Both situations are free. It's also Friday at 7 p.m. Like I said, flyer right there. Go back and rewind the show, look at it.
Yes.
Or check out our Instagram page at EMissy K's Loose Lips.
Yes.
Okay. It's been real. I love you guys.
Very
EMissy
real.
K out. Lady
Yes.
D's.
We out.
Lala Young. Donna Michi.
Hey, thank you for having me. It was great.
OG Poetess. Peace out.
EMissy K.